October 14th, 1939. Scapa Flow, Scotland. The British Home Fleet's primary anchorage, the most heavily defended naval base in the world. Kapitänleutnant Günther Prien is navigating his U-boat through a narrow channel between sunken block ships, surface running in the middle of the night. Less than 15 feet of water under his keel. One mistake means running aground. Detection means certain death. But if he succeeds, he'll sink a British battleship in the Royal Navy's own harbour. This is the most audacious submarine attack in naval history. And what happens in the next 3 hours will humiliate the Royal Navy and turn Prien into Germany's first U-boat ace. Scapa Flow. The name itself means safety to the British. It's a natural harbour in the Orkney Islands, 10 square miles of protected water surrounded by islands, the Grand Fleet, anchored here in World War I. Now, in October 1939, the Home Fleet uses it as its primary base. The defences are formidable. Boom nets across the main entrances, patrol boats, searchlights, anti-submarine nets. And the entrances themselves are blocked with deliberately sunken merchant ships, creating barriers no submarine should be able to pass. Admiral Karl Dönitz, commander of Germany's U-boat fleet, has been studying Scapa Flow for months. He's convinced there's a way in. Reconnaissance aircraft have photographed the block ships in Kirk Sound, one of the eastern entrances. There are gaps, narrow, treacherous, but passable during certain tidal conditions. Dönitz needs a captain crazy enough to try it. He chooses Günther Prien. Prien is 31 years old, a merchant marine officer who joined the Kriegsmarine in 1935. He's only been commanding U-47 for 4 months, but he's already shown the aggression and skill Dönitz values. When Dönitz briefs him on the mission, Prien's response is immediate. When do we leave? October 8th. U-47 departs Wilhelmshaven. The orders are simple. Penetrate Scapa Flow, sink whatever you find, and get out alive. The entire mission is based on aerial reconnaissance photos that are already 3 weeks old. The transit takes 5 days. U-47 travels submerged during daylight, surfaces at night to charge batteries and make speed. Prien drills his crew constantly on torpedo procedures. They'll have 1 shot at this. Maybe 2. Then they run. October 13th, U-47 reaches the Orkney Islands. Prien spends the day submerged, studying the charts, timing the tides. Kirk Sound has a tidal current that reverses every 6 hours. During slack tide, the current drops to almost 0. That's his window. Slack tide is at 11 p.m. Prien plans to enter on the surface at 11:30 p.m. when it's fully dark. But the tide hasn't turned yet. Surface running is insane, but it's faster and gives him better visibility. If he's spotted, he can crash dive and try to escape through the channel underwater. Night falls. Prien brings U-47 to the surface, 3 miles from Kirk Sound. The crew mans the bridge. The diesels are running at minimum RPM to reduce noise. The boat is blacked out, no lights, just the phosphorescent glow of the wake. Prien can see the northern lights dancing overhead. It's unnaturally bright. The aurora borealis is illuminating the channel like a dim floodlight. This is bad. Visibility is too good. If there's a patrol boat anywhere near Kirk Sound, they'll spot the submarine. Prien considers aborting, but they're already here. The crew is ready, and this opportunity may never come again. He orders ahead, slow. U-47 creeps toward Kirk Sound at 6 knots. The channel is terrifying. Block ships to port and starboard, their masts and superstructures jutting above the water like dead trees. The gap between them is less than 50 feet wide. The current is swirling, pushing the submarine toward the wrecks. Prien is on the bridge, giving steering orders directly to the helmsman below. Left 2 degrees, steady. Right 1 degree, steady. The submarine scrapes past the first block ship with 3 feet of clearance. The barnacle-encrusted hull is visible in the green glow of the aurora. Second block ship, The current catches the stern, swinging U-47 toward the wreck. Prien orders more speed. The diesels spool up. The submarine surges forward, clearing the obstruction by inches. They're through, inside Scapa Flow. Prien immediately dives to periscope depth and begins searching for targets. The anchorage should be full of warships, battleships, cruisers, carriers, the entire home fleet, but it's nearly empty. Unknown to Prien, most of the fleet put to sea 3 days ago, hunting German commerce raiders in the North Atlantic. Only a few ships remain. Through the periscope, Prien sees 2 large silhouettes at anchor. They're too far away to identify, but they're big. Probably battleships. He maneuvers U-47 to attack position. Range, 4,000 meters, too far for accurate shooting. He creeps closer, 3,000 meters, 2,500 meters. At 2,000 meters, Prien identifies the target, HMS Royal Oak, a Revenge-class battleship. 15-inch guns. 29,000 tons, old but still formidable. Prien orders tubes 1 through 4 loaded. He's carrying G7A electric torpedoes, which leave no wake. The Royal Oak's crew won't see them coming. First salvo, 4 torpedoes, spread pattern, aimed at the battleship's midsection. The torpedoes run hot and straight. Time to target, 2 minutes, 3 of the 4 miss. The battleship is at anchor, stationary, but Prien's range estimate was off. The torpedoes pass ahead of the bow and astern. 1 torpedo hits. Forward, below the waterline. The explosion is muted, distant. Prien can barely hear it through the submarine's hull. On Royal Oak, the explosion is felt but not recognized. The duty officer thinks a generator has exploded. No alarm is sounded. The crew remains at low alert. Prien can't believe they didn't react. He orders tubes 5 and 6 reloaded. This is taking too long. Every minute inside Scapa Flow increases the chance of detection. Second salvo, 2 torpedoes, aimed more carefully. Prien has adjusted for the range error. Both torpedoes miss. They run underneath the battleship's shallow draft and explode on the seafloor beyond. Prien is out of bow torpedoes. He has 1 stern tube remaining. 1 torpedo. 1 chance. He maneuvers U-47 stern onto the target, an awkward position that requires backing down. The submarine is sluggish, fighting the tidal current. Range, 1,500 meters. Point blank. Prien fires the stern tube, then immediately orders the bow tubes reloaded. His crew is working frantically in the cramped torpedo room, manhandling 3,000-pound weapons into the tubes. The stern torpedo runs true. It strikes Royal Oak amidships, just below the waterline. The warhead detonates inside the magazine, storing 15-inch ammunition. The battleship explodes. The entire midsection erupts in flame. Secondary explosions rip through the hull. The ship lists violently to starboard. Men are blown overboard. Others are trapped below decks as the compartments flood. The battleship is capsizing. Royal Oak rolls over and sinks in 13 minutes. 833 men go down with her. Only 396 survive. Prien watches through the periscope as the battleship's hull breaks the surface one last time, then slips beneath the water. He can see men in the water, swimming toward shore. Now every alarm in Scapa Flow is sounding. Searchlights sweep the harbor. Patrol boats are converging on the area. Prien orders crash dive. U-47 drops to 60 feet and turns toward Kirk Sound. They have to escape before the block ships are sealed or patrol boats close the channel. The submarine makes 8 knots submerged, running on battery power. Prien is navigating by dead reckoning. No periscope, just compass headings and elapsed time. They should be approaching Kirk Sound. Prien orders up periscope. Searchlights everywhere. A patrol boat is crossing the channel, moving slowly, searching for the submarine. Prien makes a split-second decision. Surface and run for it. U-47 blows tanks and surfaces 300 yards from the patrol boat. The diesels roar to life. The submarine accelerates toward Kirk Sound at full speed, 17 knots, throwing a massive wake. The patrol boat sees them. Signal lamps flash. Then the boat's deck gun opens fire. Shells splash around U-47. One round hits the conning tower, a glancing blow that doesn't penetrate. Prien is crouched on the bridge, steering the boat manually through the channel. The submarine threads between the block ships again, spray flying, diesels screaming. Another shell hits the water 10 feet from the hull. Then they're through. Open water, U-47 crash dives and goes deep, disappearing into the North Sea. Behind them, Scapa Flow is in chaos. The Royal Navy has lost a battleship in its own harbour. The impregnable base has been penetrated by a single submarine. The British immediately close Kirk Sound with additional block ships and nets. But it's too late. The damage is done. Prien navigates U-47 back to Germany submerged, running silent, avoiding destroyers searching for him. On October 17th, 3 days after the attack, U-47 surfaces off Wilhelmshaven. Admiral Dönitz is waiting on the pier. So is a crowd of thousands. Prien and his crew are instant heroes. Hitler personally decorates Prien with the Knight's Cross. He's promoted to Korvettenkapitän. Propaganda films are made. He becomes the face of the U-boat service, the bull of Scapa Flow. But Prien doesn't rest on his laurels. He takes U-47 back to sea, hunting Allied convoys in the Atlantic. Over the next 18 months, he sinks 30 ships totaling 162,000 tons. March 7th, 1941. North Atlantic. U-47 attacks convoy OB-293. The convoy's escort includes the destroyer HMS Wolverine, one of the Royal Navy's most experienced anti-submarine ships. Wolverine gets a sonar contact and drops a perfect depth charge pattern. U-47 is hit multiple times. The boat sinks with all 45 hands, including Günther Prien. The Royal Navy doesn't confirm the kill until after the war. For months, German propaganda continues to report Prien's successes, not knowing he's already dead. Here's why the Scapa Flow raid matters. It proved that no base is impregnable. The Royal Navy had considered Scapa Flow inviolable. After Prien's attack, they spent millions reinforcing the defenses, resources that could have been used elsewhere. More importantly, it demonstrated the strategic value of submarines. One U-boat, with one lucky torpedo hit, removed a capital ship from the board. The psychological impact was enormous. The raid also established the U-boat service's reputation. Before Scapa Flow, U-boats were seen as defensive weapons, useful for coastal defense. After Prien's attack, they became strategic assets capable of projecting power anywhere in the Atlantic. HMS Royal Oak still lies at the bottom of Scapa Flow, designated as a war grave. Divers are prohibited from disturbing the wreck. On the anniversary of the sinking, Royal Navy divers place a white ensign on the hull in memory of the 833 men who died. Günther Prien's U-47 lies somewhere in the North Atlantic, exact location unknown. The crew has no grave except the ocean. But the story of the U-boat that invaded Scapa Flow remains one of the most audacious submarine operations ever attempted. Because sometimes the most defended position is the one no one expects you to attack.